Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. I'm back at it again with the Let the Women Tell It series, episode 29. I'm going to just let a lady tell you what she thinks about the Misandry slating film, The Color Purple. And I just put a picture of the three people who are the culprits behind the worst depiction of Black men in recent memory. And they are trying to do it again for a new generation. Thank God it flopped at the box office. Uh, Black men don't deserve to be portrayed as monsters by women and a puppet master who use these sycophants for their own purposes. So here goes. I'm going to let the woman tell it. Mm.
These books or movies. Well, I thought the movie was awful, really. And in the movie, I felt that if you're going to give me that particular man, that black man, then you got to tell me more about him. I quite see, the black men that can do all those things, but then there's got to be something wrong with him, and you'd have to let me know something more than the catalog of this man's brutality.
Fair use.
If he were white, then he would be, Paul Newman were playing that cat. You realize he was very, very sick, and he'd have all your sympathy. You'd hope he'd get well. But the black image is very, very different. All you got to do in order to do that is be black.
And if I continue to lambaste the black man, if I destroy the man in your eyes and in his own eyes, he will never be able to rise.
So I just finished watching The Color Purple, and honestly, I'm kind of over it. In my opinion, Color Purple is one of the most ahistorical movies ever made about Black America. I mean, let's just think about it, right? Black men oppressing Black women on plantations during the Reconstruction era in Jim Crow. I mean, this movie is a total fantasy. It's meant to confuse younger generations about their own history. And I'm not really for it. And to me, it just feels like complete and total propaganda and total and utter BS. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that there were not toxic relationships. I'm not saying that there were not abusive Black men during that time. There absolutely was. Black America was incredibly traumatized. I'm also just adding the fact that there were also likely abusive Black women. And notice in this entire movie that there's this whole theme of Black women fighting oppression, Black women beating oppression. But notice how the oppressor in that movie is somehow always the Black man. It's never the system that is responsible for their people being oppressed. It was never the entire system that actually subjugated them to begin with. That is never up for question. If anything, that system actually continued to keep them subjugated. There's a scene in there, right, where Sophia, she calls herself fighting against racism, and she gets put in jail. And she is made to submit to the white people who mistreated her, right? There's other scenes in there where it talks about Lee's sister, Nettie, who ends up running for her life at multiple times in the movie because of British colonialism. And she eventually submits to the oppression under the colonial masters and ends up coming back to America. And so, there's this like undertone of white oppression, but that's never questioned or challenged. Black women just submit to it or they're subdued to it. But the real oppressors, it's not the system, it's not a broken system, it's not racism, it's not that. No, it is these oppressive Black men who just need to be overturned, who just need to be put in their place. Like those are the real oppressors in the movie. And I'm like, if you understand that
I'm going to stop it there. You can go to this lovely lady's channel and look at the rest of it. I didn't want to take it all because she deserves to have somebody go to her channel and subscribe to it. But there you have it. The Color Purple was a horrible depiction of Black men, even if there were, oppression back then. Look at the puppet masters who made this movie. Oprah, led by Steven Spielberg and the cabal of people who have no trouble making Black people look like savages, right? And of course, a woman who has questionable, affinity for men in the first place. So it probably was easy for her to depict a black man as a savage. So anyway, listen, I could just tell you we can go on and on, but I'm glad this thing died a horrible death at the box office as it should have. And you know, and if it goes away, it won't be fast enough. So that's how I feel about it. I don't care if anybody doesn't like that. The Color Purple was a dastardly movie, specifically because it wanted to denigrate and and keep black men in a bad light. And we need to get away from that kind of depiction of black men because one, it's not true. And if we're gonna start making movies, let's make movies of black men who are doing their thing, guys who are guys next door like me, take care of their families, pay bills, love their woman, all that kind of stuff, faithful to their wives, all that shit. We don't see none of that. Either the husband, the black man, is some kind of savage, some kind of bad husband, some kind of deadbeat dad, some kind of drug dealer, some kind of asshole, right? Or a buffoon. We don't need black women championing that shit anymore. So anyway, let me get the hell out of here. So the sister told us, Shay Sade, I'm gonna put a link in the description, and you can see her whole video. And I rock with the sister anyway. And we need more and more sisters who will stand up for black men, as opposed to being so willing to bring us down. Our Pain, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Over and out.